really good. Yeah. Hey guys, what's up, Rotax here and welcome back to this brand new video. And in this video we have another testing day at Berghem because next week, race week. Once again, we're not at the track but in my room because yeah, my intro is gone again. It seems to be an issue, my intros seem to keep disappearing and I have to re-record them. Strange. Anyways, I'll just let my past self take it away. So, take it away, past Rotaxians. Alright, so the track is, yeah, it's still pretty much completely wet. Yeah, the rubber line is super slippery, but yeah, also the track's not really drying. And as you can see above me, yeah, it's kind of grey out here. So I'm kind of torn what to do on the setup. I actually need to wait a little bit before I decide, because if it completely dries out, then of course I'll be fucked and I can't do the first session. Ik heb geen lood, dus dat valt mee. Alrighty people, welcome back to Berghem. Just like last week, we're here for a day of testing. Because in 1 week from now, we will have round 6 of the Dutch Championship right here in Berghem. As I told you guys in the intro, it had rained before we arrived at the track. But as you can also see, it's now nice and sunny and the track has dried up almost completely. There are a few wet spots on the track, but we can handle those of course. Now if you think back to last week's video, you'll remember that we ended up putting more grip at the front of the kart. I left that setup on the kart for today, but it quickly turned out to be too much for this week's track conditions. By the way guys, if you're still enjoying these videos, then I would appreciate it enormously if you would hit the like and subscribe buttons. It's free, you'll never miss a new video, and for me it's one step closer to securing a seat for next year. Also, you should totally join my karting Discord, link in description. Anyways, the track started drying quite rapidly and we had to come in to let some air out of the tires. They were heating up too much and I started sliding, which will heat up the tires even more, which makes you slide more, and this will put you in a downward spiral, and you get the idea. After some more laps, the grip became too much for the current setup and I decided to come in. Alright people, that was the first session. We started on a half wet, half dry track. But when the track started drying up, you saw that the grip was just too much, so we switched back to the almost standard setup. Now it's time for session 2. Let's see how we do there. It's actually about to start raining again, so we have to be quick. Yeah, that's not looking good. Anyways, let's go. Alrighty, so going out for session 2, you can see that the clouds are now covering the entire circuit. Yeah, it was starting to rain a little bit. You can also see, oh, as we get a little bit of a bouncy exit there. Yeah, it started raining while we're out on slicks, but no worries, we're still pushing it. You can see the drops clearly forming on my visor now. And if you've ever played one of the F1 games, you'll know that when it starts raining, in the game the grip just gets progressively worse. Well, in real life, when you're out on slicks, that doesn't happen. It goes from all the grip to zero grip within 1 lap. It's really that extreme, and that is why it is often a very smart idea to come in when you're on slicks. But actually, we decided, fuck it, let's just go out, let's have some fun on slicks in the wet, because actually doing that is a really good practice for when it actually rains, and for example when it starts raining during a race when we're all out on slicks. So going out on track now, yeah, you can see that we fishtail a little bit and we get massive understeer there. There was actually more grip than I expected. Here we try to hook on the inside curb, and also a thing that's really good for confidence is trying to do it 360, so let's try to do that now. Yeah, you guys didn't see that. Yeah, that was kind of pathetic. Anyways, as I was saying, a 360 is a good practice for confidence. As you can see now, yeah, a little bit later on in the session, we just take a very late apex there, and we still get massive understeer in the fast corner. Get massive oversteer there on the power, Here we turn in late, of course, turn in on the outside of the track, outside of the rubber line, because as you guys may or may not know, the rubber line in the wet is super slippery. Here we do the same thing again, and as you can see, when you do that, you can actually get some decent rotation in the kart. Here we get massive understeer in the chicane. Here again we try to make a late apex, but we lose the back end a little bit, which completely destroys our momentum out of the corner. Oh, you can see that the kart even wanted to snap on us while we're getting on the power, or when the power kicked in. Here, this super scary corner, it's super scary in the wet, man. The tire walls on the outside just come really close when you're understeer into there. Here you can see again, we always brake super aggressively in the wet, and that's just to get some temperature in the rear tires, because tire temps in the wet's everything, even when you're out on slicks. That's why you can see that I'm driving very aggressively, which is also necessary when you're in the wet, because otherwise the thing just doesn't turn, as you can see. Now getting up to some decent speed again, we're not going to try another 360, I do not want my ego to get crushed even more. Yeah, braking for this corner, oh my god, look at that understeer. You can see that we missed the curb by a little bit, and that completely sends you understeering straight out of the corner. Yeah, that's the thing in karting. In the wet, you either want to take a wide line or a super curvy line, like we're doing here, like one wheel's even on the grass. But as you could see, it did help us actually get the kart rotated. And some people, they just don't want to touch curbs in the wet for some reason. Oh, here you can see that we almost go off track because we broke a little bit too late. But as I was saying, some people don't want to touch curbs in the wet, and I really don't understand why. Yeah, if the speeds are so low that it's not even bad for your chassis, like not worse than just driving regularly. So yeah, just take curbs or take a wide line, as you can see here, but even on the outside it was super slippery here. Just take curbs or go on the outside of the track, it's really not that difficult. Here, coming into this corner again, we take the curb, but we get a little bit of oversteer and we nearly crash, oh my god. Alright, so we first went out a little bit, then it started raining, then we came in, then some people crashed. So yeah, I think it was a good call to come in. Then when it dried up a little bit, we went out on slicks, had some fun. Had the worst pathetic 360 attempt ever. Yeah, whoops. It was good for the confidence to be out there on slicks, because it actually went decently well, so that's good. So yeah, now it's just waiting for the track to dry and to go out on slicks again. Yeah, nice. Let's see. Alrighty, so for the next session you saw that the first turn, or the first hairpin, that's turn 4, was still quite wet. Luckily it was drying very quickly though, and for some reason, I don't know what it is, if you're here you can see that it's still a little bit wet. We get a little bit wide there on the exit. But as I was saying, for some reason the kart just feels, well, whenever the track is half wet, half dry, the kart just feels extra planted in the dry sections. I think if you're a karter yourself, you can confirm that statement. Look at this, it just is absolutely planted through here. Look at this hairpin over here. Just turn in, get on the power, smooth, no overcorrections on the exit, and boom, we're out of the corner. It just felt so planted, man. It's just amazing, amazing, amazing. Just everything was working today. The kart was working, the engine actually, if you remember back to last week, we had huge engine issues, no power whatsoever. We didn't have the engine issues today. The kart just felt quick, planted, and very confidence inspiring. Then for the next session it had dried out completely, which of course increases the grip that's out on the track, because well, when the sun's out on the track, there's just a whole lot more grip. And again, through this hairpin we just get a rocket exit out of there. The car just feels absolutely planted. Also going through the chicane there, you can see that we took a nice line, avoiding the first curb nicely, because it's a huge mountain. Then coming through the final corner to complete the lap, no excessive steering inputs there. We get a hand signal to come into the pits, which we of course do the next lap. And that was because we wanted to try a little bit of a setup change. Now, excuse me. We had a mechanic for today, which was came in very useful. He saw that whilst I was out on track, that the front end was a little bit too aggressive on the initial turn in, and then that I had a little bit of understeer in the mid corner. What you can do to compensate for that is decrease the caster a little bit and increase the amount of negative camber. And as of course you know, negative camber, the more negative camber you put on the vehicle, the less aggressive the turn in will be, and the more grip you will have in the mid corner. So we put on a little bit more negative camber by 2 clicks, which can be easily done by rotating the eccentric bush on the top of the stub axle there. And well, after we changed that, which is luckily done within a few minutes when you're with 2 people, back out on track. And well, as you can still see, the car just feels even more planted. Now we get even less corrections on the exit of the hairpin there. Going through the flat out left-hander, through the chicane, the car just look at how clean it looks. I know that my driving style is pretty clean by itself when I'm confident, but now it was even more clean. Just perfect, perfect, perfect. And the day could not go any better than what is currently going.
Alright guys, another session done. Yeah, it was a little bit wet still in the beginning, especially in the hairpin in the back there. But yeah, when it dried up, pace was okay. It's quite funny actually. There were 4 seniors out on track, me included, and we all 4 did a 50.0, so we're doing exactly the same lap times. Only difference that I did it alone and the others were fighting in the group a little bit and they had slipstream. But yeah, the kart feels good. Still lacking a little bit of engine power, but that's okay, that will be solved of course for the race. Yeah, I think we have a solid base to work with. Yeah, I think it's going quite well. Now we're going to switch to a set of tires that was a little bit better than what we just ran with, but yeah, let's just see how that goes. It's going pretty okay so far actually, yeah.
Alright, so time for another session. And well, we tried something else with the setup this time, and this time we tried a low ride height at the front. What this does, it's, well, opinions about that are kind of divided, but it's supposed to make the front end a little bit more calm and less direct on turn-in. But as you take a look here, yeah, we get something weird going on, which is actually rather easily explained. Because we lower the ride height, of course, the front of the chassis will be closer to the ground. Well, no shit. But because my Tony kart now is really starting to show its age, it actually starts to skid on the front of the chassis, which makes us understeer, of course, because the front wheels are not touching the ground. There you can see another instance, and especially at that corner it was really, really bad. Here we let the other senior overtake us, who was actually surprisingly quick. They were a lot, he and his teammate were a lot quicker than what they were in the previous part of the season. So they definitely found some pace there. As you can see, trying to follow him there. I try to take as much speed into this corner as he does, but we just completely slide out of the corner on the chassis. Also, it just really felt cringy when the chassis was touching the ground like that. So I was like, nah mate, this isn't it. I came into the pits. We quickly decided to increase the front ride height back to the standard height, which is the middle position, which is actually another thing that's really easily done. Just take out the kingpin, change the height spacers. There you can see that I took out the kingpin and just take off the entire front wheel. But yeah, luckily that's not really a big issue. Here you can see me use some international racing driver language. I was kind of yeah, showing him what was happening with the front end, of course. We then went back out and the kart was back to being absolutely on rails. It didn't touch the ground and it just felt good. But at the end of the session, something happened. Sadly the GoPro didn't catch it, but the other camera did.
Well, RIP. Yeah, engine failure. I think the GoPro didn't catch that because the GoPro ran out of battery, but yeah, when we took the exhaust off, pieces of metal came out of the engine, so that's not good. Then I shook the exhaust around a little bit and more metal came out, so yeah, definitely dead. That kind of sucks because I now only have, well, I have 0 engines because the other one's already being repaired, so yeah. So yeah, the engine failure kind of sucks. Yeah, that's an expensive one. So yeah, time to clean up, I guess.
So yeah, the day unfortunately ended quite early for us. So now it's just time to take it all apart again and put it back in the van. One advantage of the day ending early is that we're now home quite early, which is nice of course. And I guess that you guys are curious what happened to the engine. Well, I have some pics to show you. Boom, there you go. Yeah, the piston just exploded and all pieces of metal were all rattling inside of the combustion chamber, which is of course not what you want. Luckily we got it repaired now and it's all good to go again.
Alright people, and after cleaning up at Berghem, we're back in the workshop. Yeah, it was actually a really good day, speed was good, kart felt really good, it was absolutely on rails, especially in the half wet, half dry sessions. But yeah, a little bit of a shame about the engine failure. That's going to be an expensive one because yeah, the piston isn't even able to move anymore in the cylinder, so that's not really good. Yeah. So yeah, if you want some signs that your engine's going to fail, go watch last week's video. It's on screen right now. This video however is over and I'll see you all next time. Peace.